have 8-pack abs and looks that could kill, but I deliberately made my in-game character hideous. For a year, no woman ever came near me. That is, until she showed up. She didn't care that my avatar was ugly. She helped me level up, we wore matching couples armor, and we even started a guild together. I thought she was different, that she didn't judge by appearances. So when I found out that my in-game partner of 3 years, the one who had fought by my side all this time, was actually my real-life boss, I worked up the courage to ask her to meet in person. But before I could even ask, she stripped me of my vice leader status in the guild. I was stunned. I asked her why. Her tone was dismissive. You're just a healer. The guild has grown, and we need a stronger vice leader now. She said it with such conviction, but her words were as cold as ice. I clenched my fists, a sharp, undeniable pain blooming in my chest. I never started playing this game to become a vice leader. The VR game's world was breathtakingly realistic. I originally just wanted to explore the landscapes. But because I became the partner of the Frost Empress and was made vice leader, I forced myself to learn how to fight, how to manage guild affairs. For her, I pulled countless all-nighters grinding for materials, studying guild war tactics, and practicing my positioning and skills until I dropped. I gave it my all just so I could stand by her side as an equal, and now she was casting me aside. My fingers felt stiff as I opened the menu. A system prompt appeared. Do you wish to voluntarily resign as vice leader? Before I could even click confirm, the panel before me went gray. A system-wide announcement boomed through the guild hall. The Frost Empress has revoked Starfall's position as vice leader. The Frost Empress has appointed Julian as the new vice leader of the guild. Let's give him a warm welcome. The two announcements came one after the other, the second one delivered in a cheerful, celebratory tone. The name that had been listed next to the Frost Empress in the guild leadership roster was now Julian. My own name, Starfall, was shunted all the way to the bottom of the member list, sorted by power ranking. After the meeting, the Frost Empress sent me a private message. Meet me at the Lover's Oak. The Lover's Oak was where you went to form or break an in-game relationship. My heart sank. I knew what was coming. When I got there, the Frost Empress cut right to the chase. Let's end our in-game relationship. My heart plummeted. I struggled to speak, trying in vain to buy a little more time. The couple's quest chain ends in 1 week. Are you sure you want to do this now? There was an achievement in the game called the Eternal Vow, which required a couple to complete weekly quests together, without fail, for 3 straight years. The time commitment and strict conditions were so demanding that no one on the server had ever earned it. We had started it the day we became a couple. Time had flown by. What once seemed like an impossible goal was now just a week away, but the person who had been so excited about it was the one calling it quits. The Frost Empress said coolly, "It's just an achievement. If it's gone, it's gone." With that, she initiated the process to dissolve our bond. A system prompt appeared before me. Your partner, the Frost Empress, has requested the severance shears from the Lover's Oak to dissolve your relationship. A bond once tied is now to be cut. My chest felt tight, as if squeezed by a giant fist. I closed my eyes and laid it all on the line. Chloe, please don't do this. You know I've loved you for these past 3 years. My voice trembled. It was a final, desperate plea. But my words were met with a crushing, suffocating silence. The Frost Empress stared at me in silence. A flicker of something complex crossed her beautiful face before it hardened again. I told you before, she said coldly. This was just about having a partner for quests. It never mattered who it was. She paused, then delivered the final blow. Now that Julian Croft is back, I finally feel like the word partner actually means something. A sharp pain shot through my heart. Then what about me? I asked, my voice shaking. What about my companionship for the last 3 years? My effort? My feelings? What was I to you? The Frost Empress offered a single word, sorry. She held out her hand, and a ball of light in her palm slowly formed into a pair of shears. To form a bond, you needed a thread of fate. To break it, you both had to cut that thread. She cruelly handed the shears to me. You do it. I took the shears and looked into her eyes. There wasn't a single trace of hesitation. Tears streamed down my face as I squeezed the handles. The red thread that symbolized our connection snapped. Instantly, a server-wide announcement flashed across the screen. The server's top couple, Starfall and the Frost Empress, have dissolved their relationship. May they each find their own path. A bond broken, a flower wilted, a sorrowful end. The Frost Empress gave me a curt nod and teleported away without another word. The server chat immediately erupted. Holy crap, is it for real? My wish came true. The Frost Empress finally dumped that ugly freak. I heard he lost his vice leader spot too. Guess it won't be long before he's kicked from the guild entirely. Starfall was always dead weight, just an ugly, disgusting leech. I stared blankly at the screen, each word a dagger in my heart. Numb and heartbroken, I was about to log off when another system announcement appeared. The Frost Empress has initiated the Everlasting Fire Bloom Festival. For Julian, all players, look to the skies and enjoy the magnificent view. With the announcement, the sky above the capital city exploded with fireworks. Dazzling bursts of light filled the night, like a shower of shattered stars. Slowly, the falling embers formed words in the sky. Julian, I love you. The world chat scrolled by in a blur. Damn, those fireworks cost, what, 5 million gold apiece? The Frost Empress must really be in love. Goes to show you can tell how much a woman loves a guy by how much she's willing to spend. Starfall was with her for 3 years, and I bet he never even got a single sparkler, let alone a fireworks show and a public confession. Are you kidding me? With that ugly face of his, Starfall should be paying her. I stood there, frozen, as the comments scrolled past, each one feeling like another twist of the knife. But the fireworks themselves hurt more than any of the insults. I suddenly remembered an old saying, when you go to see someone you love, you should run. Chloe must really love Julian. She couldn't even wait a minute after breaking up with me to rush to his side. But I really loved her. I was the one by her side for 3 years. Did none of that mean anything to her? After a long moment, I sent the Frost Empress a message. We're in the same city. Let's meet tomorrow. Just once. I needed to put a real end to this, for my own sake. A long time passed before she replied with a single word, okay. The next day, I got up early for our meeting. I hadn't bothered with my appearance in ages. I had to look up tutorials online just to figure out how to style my hair. I carefully picked out an outfit, even putting on the suit my parents had given me for my 18th birthday. Finally, I took a deep breath and headed out. On the way there, nearly everyone I passed did a double take. Whoa, is that a celebrity? Are they filming something? I don't see any cameras. Quick, take a picture and search for him online. There's no way someone that good-looking isn't famous. Hearing the murmurs around me, I lowered my head and walked faster. I knew they didn't mean any harm, but I still wasn't used to the attention. I arrived an hour early and sent Chloe an iMessage. I'm here. Are you on your way? She replied, running late. I put my phone away and waited patiently. But within half an hour, a small crowd had started to form around me. Surrounded by stares, some blatant and others trying to be subtle, I had no choice but to put on a face mask. I messaged Chloe again. Any idea how much longer you'll be? This time, she didn't reply at all. I didn't push it. I just kept waiting. I waited until the sky was completely dark, until the last subway train had finished its run for the night. Chloe never showed up. I finally gave up and started to leave, but I hadn't gone far before I noticed a few women following me. My stomach dropped, but I didn't panic. I hailed a cab and went straight to the nearest police precinct. The lobby of the precinct was bustling. A group of officers in tactical gear, looking like they'd just come back from a call, were chatting in the main hall. The moment I walked in, everyone froze. The noisy lobby fell completely silent. A female officer hesitantly approached me. Sir, can I help you with something? I was a bit nervous. Someone was following me. Is it okay if I wait here for a little while? As soon as I said that, it was like a switch flipped, and the room erupted. Don't worry, man. Where are they? I'll go sort them out. It's late. A guy that good-looking shouldn't be out alone. I'll give you a ride home. Why you? I've got my car right outside. I'll take him. Their bickering was cut short by a sharp voice. What's all the noise? Everyone immediately shut up. I looked up to see a woman walking out of an interrogation room. She was tall, at least 5'9", but what was more striking than her height was her sharp, perfectly sculpted face. She paused for a second when she saw me, but quickly recovered and turned to one of the other officers. The officer immediately explained, Captain, this guy was being followed. I was just about to give him a ride home. The woman, the captain, considered for a moment. You stay and finish the paperwork. I'll take him. With that, she walked out the door. I quickly followed her. She unlocked a Range Rover parked at the curb. Address. I told her, and she started the engine. We drove in silence. When we got to my building, I got out and thanked her, but she didn't drive off. I'll wait until you're inside. You'll be safe. Her words were brief, but they were strangely comforting. I thanked her again and headed upstairs. As soon as I was inside my apartment, my shoulders slumped in exhaustion. I put on my VR headset and logged into the game, intending to confront Chloe about standing me up. The first thing I saw was a featured live stream on the game's main forum, Julian and the Frost Empress, running a dungeon together. My heart sank. I clicked on the stream. The stream's chat was flying. You can tell she's so in love. She'd rather take a hit from a mob than miss one of Julian's badly aimed heals. It used to be Starfall taking all the damage for her. Yes, that's the difference between a prince and a toad. Don't you dare insult Julian. Don't compare my king to that ugly piece of trash. Watching the chat, Julian laughed and told everyone to stop. Starfall will be hurt if he sees this. Then, as if just remembering, he turned to the Frost Empress. Speaking of which, wasn't Starfall supposed to meet you today? Aren't you going to be late? At his words, the chat exploded again. Damn, Starfall actually asked to meet her in person? Does he want to give her a heart attack? It's hilarious thinking about that ugly loser getting stood up while Chloe is here streaming with Julian. What a total clown. I stared at the screen, my blood running cold, as I heard the Frost Empress say, matter-of-factly, "He's not important." Those 3 words, spoken so casually, were quickly lost in the sounds of battle, but they echoed in my mind like a death knell. Every memory from the past 3 years flashed before my eyes. We had run this very dungeon together, and I had always been the one standing in front of her, taking the hits. We had celebrated in-game holidays together. She once won a race to pick the first Lotus of the season and pinned it to my armor. We had even stayed up all night in the game's virtual university to watch the New Year's fireworks. But no matter how wonderful those memories were, her words tainted them all, turning them to ash. My reality, my feelings, they were nothing to her. I quietly logged off. Meanwhile, after ending the stream, Chloe Vance was catching up on some work. As she went to make a coffee, a notification for a trending local story popped up on her phone. Citywide alert. Who kept this gorgeous man waiting all day? She clicked on it. It was a candid video. In the video, a tall young man with stylish dark hair was standing on a street corner. Even from behind, it was obvious he was exceptionally good-looking. The person who posted it wrote indignantly, "This absolutely gorgeous guy stood here waiting all afternoon. Who would be cruel enough to do that to him?" The comments section was in full agreement. "I'm in NYC. I saw him too. I thought it was a movie shoot or something. To think he was actually waiting for someone. I'm so angry for him. Whoever stood him up better have been off saving the world, because there's no other excuse I'll accept." As the camera moved, it caught his profile. He was wearing a mask, but you could see his long eyelashes flutter as he seemed to let out a sigh. The shot was captivating, pulling at the heartstrings of everyone who saw it. The coffee mug slipped from Chloe Vance's hand and crashed onto her desk. Before she could even react to the mess, she recognized the cafe in the background of the video. It was the one where Ethan had asked to meet her. Her heart plummeted. Chloe opened her iMessage and saw the message from Ethan, sent that afternoon, asking when she would arrive. She had seen it. She just hadn't replied. Chloe immediately sent him a new message. "Are you there?" No reply. Chloe called him. Seeing Chloe Vance on my caller ID, I froze for a second. I hesitated but finally answered. "What is it?" Hearing the rasp in my voice, Chloe paused before asking, trying to sound casual. "How long did you wait for me today?" I didn't say anything. From noon until night. I didn't know how to say something so humiliating out loud. After a moment, for the sake of my own fragile, ridiculous pride, I lied. "Not long." Hearing my answer, Chloe felt a wave of relief, but it was mixed with a strange sense of disappointment. So the guy in the video wasn't him after all. Chloe cleared her throat. "Even though you're not vice leader anymore, you're still a member of the guild. Don't forget to do your daily quests." Then she hung up. The harsh dial tone echoed in the quiet room. I stared at my phone for a moment, then put on my headset and logged back into the game. I didn't go to do guild quests. Instead, I went to the guild store. I looked at my guild points, over 14,000 of them, and sighed. They were the fruit of years of labor for the guild, points I'd never spent because I was saving up to 15,000 to buy the legendary warlord's armor for the Frost Empress. But now, after a moment's thought, I clicked on the crafting materials tab and started spending. I was going back to being a casual, crafting-focused player. I had only joined the guild for her. Now that she had a new partner and vice leader, there was no reason for me to stay and torture myself. Naturally, I had to spend all these points before I left. After cashing in all my points for materials, I went to a tavern in the main city of Silverwood to get some food. As a full-dive VR game, everything was incredibly realistic, right down to the taste of the food. I had just sat down when I heard familiar voices coming from behind a decorative screen. One of them was saying, "Julian, you're a genius. The Frost Empress is completely wrapped around your finger. Once you two make it official, you'll be the server's first husband." Julian just laughed. "I'm not actually going to get with her. Haven't you ever heard of playing hard to get? You have to keep them on a string. If I made it official, how could I keep getting her to spend money on me?" I was frozen in place, stunned by what I was hearing. Suddenly, the screen in front of me was shoved aside. When I snapped out of it, I saw Julian smirking at me. "Starfall, what are you doing here? Since you're here, why don't you join us?" "Couldn't believe it. Chloe cares about you so much. How can you treat her like that?" Julian didn't answer, but one of his friends shot back. "Have you no shame, Starfall? Eavesdropping on a private conversation? I'm warning you, if you breathe a word of this." Before he could finish his threat, Julian looked at my character's plain, ugly face and sneered. "So what if he heard? Even if he tells Chloe, who do you think she's going to believe?" The whole table erupted in laughter. I clenched my fists and turned to leave. Even if Chloe didn't love me, I couldn't stand by and watch her be used like this. I messaged the Frost Empress, asking to meet. She told me to come to the guild hall. I hurried to the guild hall and found everyone gathered there. The moment I stepped inside, I was met with hostile glares from every direction. The Frost Empress's expression was thunderous. Someone sneered, "What's the traitor who stole the Chalice of Kings doing back here? Why bother talking to him? That was the chalice we all worked our asses off to earn by being the top guild. This ugly loser was probably just bitter about getting dumped and decided to get revenge." Pathetic and stupid. The accusations and insults hit me one after another. I was stunned, completely lost. Then someone else sneered, "Perfect timing. Starfall, give back the chalice you stole. Or don't blame us for running you out of this guild." It hit me all at once. Julian had beaten me to the punch and framed me. I quickly tried to defend myself. "It wasn't me. I didn't take the chalice." But Julian immediately cut me off. "My friend saw you sneaking off with something gold," he said, his voice full of false sincerity and pity. "Starfall, I know you don't like me, but you can't take your anger out on the whole guild." His words sent the guild members into an uproar. "Starfall, you're just jealous that we all like Julian. Give back the chalice, you ugly freak, or don't expect us to go easy on you for old time's sake." I stood there, listening to their cold accusations, a profound sadness washing over me. For 3 years, I had poured my heart and soul into this guild. I had personally mentored many of the people now screaming at me, guiding them when they were just starting out. And now, not a single one of them believed me. I turned to the Frost Empress. "And you? You don't believe me either." She didn't say a word, just stared at me, her eyes like chips of ice. That cold gaze silenced me completely. I turned to Julian, my heart heavy with defeat. "So, what do you want?" Julian smiled faintly. "You say it wasn't you, and I don't want to falsely accuse you, so just open your inventory in front of everyone. That will prove your innocence." I knew he was just trying to humiliate me. No one would willingly display their private inventory for all to see. It was the virtual equivalent of being forced to empty your pockets in public. And Julian was using this to force me out. What he didn't know was that I had already decided to leave. I just didn't want to do it with the stain of thief on my name. I clenched my fists and then opened my inventory for all to see. The large, translucent window of my inventory appeared. I scrolled through page after page. There was no chalice. Apart from the usual crafting materials and potions, there was only one notable item, a pair of sparkling, legendary tier, twin flames amulets. Everyone gasped when they saw them. They were legendary tier jewelry, and there were fewer than 10 pairs on the entire server. I looked at the Frost Empress and gave a bitter smile. "I crafted these for you, for our 3rd anniversary, but I guess you don't need them anymore." Chloe didn't speak, but a complicated look flickered in her eyes. I calmly closed the inventory window and turned to the others. "You've seen it. Am I cleared now?" No one answered. I didn't care. I opened the menu and selected the option to leave the guild. A system prompt appeared. "Player Starfall, are you sure you wish to leave the guild Ethelgard? All ties will be severed." I hit confirm without a moment's hesitation. The next moment, a server-wide announcement was broadcast. "The top-ranked healer, Starfall, has left the guild Ethelgard. The guild's ranking has fallen by 2 positions. We encourage all members to strive for greatness and uphold the guild's honor." No one had expected that. Someone immediately grumbled. "It was just a small misunderstanding. Did he really have to quit over it? What a petty, ugly loser." I paused, wanting to say something, but in the end, I just gave a small, weary smile and walked out of the guild hall. I would never return to this place I had poured so much of myself into. After leaving the guild, I logged off. I took off the headset, and my bedroom materialized around me. Everything that had just happened felt like a dream, but the dull ache in my chest was all too real. Trying to push the drama from the game out of my mind, I picked up my digital art tablet and started working on a commission. After a long while, the piece was finally finished. I was about to send it to Chloe Vance, but I accidentally opened her Facebook page. The top post from an hour ago was a photo of her with a man. The caption read, "Julian, it took me 6 years to find my way to you. Since you love games, I'll build one just for you." I stared at it for a long time. It was then I realized the game I was currently designing character art for was the one Chloe was making for Julian. As a well-known illustrator, my rates were far higher than what she was paying. I had only taken on this difficult project at a discount because the client was Chloe, and now it felt like all that extra effort had been for nothing. After a long moment, I opened my message thread with Chloe, my fingers stiff as I typed, "Ms. Vance, I'm sorry, but due to personal reasons, I can no longer continue working on this project. I will pay the contract termination fee." After I sent it, she immediately replied with several messages, but I didn't read a single one. I checked my savings and realized that after paying the fee, I'd be left with next to nothing. A wave of anxiety washed over me. I needed to find new work, which meant less time for the game. I threw myself into work. Just as I was about to go to sleep, Chloe called. I let it ring for a moment before answering. "What is it?" My tone was flat. She paused on the other end, then said, "Mr. Cole, I'm downstairs. Can we please discuss the contract termination in person?" I knew my agent must have given her my address. After a moment's thought, I buzzed her in. The moment I opened the door, I felt her eyes sizing me up. Chloe's voice was laced with suspicion. "Mr. Cole, you wear a mask inside your own apartment?" "Seasonal allergies," I explained, my expression neutral. I just wanted to get this over with and cut all ties with her. As I was getting a glass for some water, I heard her ask from behind me, "Mr. Cole, you play Ethelgard's Dream?" I turned. She was looking at my VR headset. "I haven't played in a while," I said quietly. Seeing the charging cable still plugged into the headset, Chloe's eyes narrowed slightly. She turned back to me. "About the contract. If this is about the pay, I can offer you 10 times the market rate." It was an incredible offer, but I hadn't taken the job for the money. I just said, "Ms. Vance, at that price, you could hire any artist you want." Chloe raised an eyebrow, confused. "I don't understand. We've been working together perfectly well. Why are you so determined to quit?" My chest tightened. I decided to just throw caution to the wind. "I just had my heart broken. I'm not in the mood to work." "Is that a good enough reason for you, Ms. Vance?" A heavy silence filled the room. Chloe stared at me. The mask covered most of my face, but my eyes were visible, and they were striking. Unforgettable. For some reason, she felt a strange sense of familiarity with me, this man she'd only met a handful of times. It was like trying to remember a dream, shrouded in fog. Chloe cleared her throat. "I'll give you 3 days to think it over. Let me know in 3 days if you still want to quit." The door opened and then closed, leaving only the still steaming glass of water on the table. Fitting end. When I next logged into the game, I went to the main city in one of the starting zones. My forging, alchemy, and fishing skills were all maxed out. I was the one who had personally crafted the Twin Flames amulets. To start my new life as a crafter, I set up a small stall in the market district to sell some basic gear. Business was surprisingly good. That is, until a flashy figure appeared in front of my stall. It was Julian. Seeing him reminded me of the photo Chloe had posted on Facebook. I hadn't looked closely at it yesterday, but now I realized something strange. His in-game character's profile looked a lot like mine in real life. I frowned. "What do you want?" I asked coldly. "Sell me those legendary amulets," Julian demanded. "They're a couple's item useless to you now. I'll give you this much for them." He made a gesture, offering me less than half of what they were worth on the market. I couldn't even be bothered to get angry. "Not for sale," I said flatly. I wanted nothing more to do with any of them. Julian's face soured at the blunt refusal. "I'd rethink that if I were you. You'll regret this." I remained unmoved. I wasn't in love with Chloe anymore. I couldn't imagine what else he could possibly do to hurt me. But it wasn't long before I was ambushed. I had gone just outside the city walls to gather some materials when a group of players surrounded me. Their leader, a warrior player, sneered at me. "So it's you. Bad enough you're ugly, but you have to be a scammer too? Our king tried to buy something from you, and you took his deposit and ran." You think you can get away with messing with him? Get him, boys. Kill this ugly bastard and teach him a lesson." With that, they closed in and attacked. Even though I was the top-ranked healer, I was hopelessly outnumbered. They killed me and I was forced to respawn back in the city. Back at the respawn point, I checked the game forums and figured out what had happened. Julian had accused me on his livestream of taking a deposit for the amulets and then disappearing. In the clip, he was practically in tears. "I just wanted to buy a gift for Chloe, to repay her kindness. I wanted to buy Starfall's amulets. He agreed to sell them, but then he took my deposit, backed out of the deal and blocked me." His fans were immediately up in arms. That's enough money to be a criminal offense, right? Figures. An ugly face for an ugly heart. Starfall is a fatherless piece of trash. Go use that money to buy your mom a coffin. Anyone want to party up? Let's go teach that ugly bastard a lesson he won't forget. Reading the endless stream of insults, I clenched my fists. It was clear now that Julian didn't just want me out of the guild. He wanted me out of the game entirely, to make it impossible for me to play at all. I made a post in the server-wide chat, stating clearly that I had never taken any deposit from him. If he was going to make accusations, he needed to show some proof. My post was immediately met with a wave of ridicule. "That's hilarious. Are you going to believe the server's hottest guy would lie about the server's ugliest guy? Yeah, right. And I'm the King of England. Julian is good-looking, he's rich, and he has the Frost Empress wrapped around his finger. Why would he need to lie about some loser who just got kicked out of his guild? Didn't he get kicked out of his last guild for stealing their chalice? Sounds like he has a history of this." The rumors spiraled out of control, until the story was that I was a notorious thief. But my former guildmates, the people I had supported for 3 years, remained silent. Not one of them defended me. I was completely alone. No matter where I went, his fans hunted me down. The game's pain simulation was only set to 10%, but dying over and over again was something most people couldn't endure. But even as I died again and again, I stubbornly refused to give him the amulets. During one of these ambushes, cornered and with nowhere to run, I saw her in the crowd. "Chloe, everyone, stand down," she commanded coldly, stopping the attack. She walked up to me. "Don't kill him again." Her words brought a wave of relief. Felt like she was protecting me again. My eyes welled up. "Chloe," I said, my voice hoarse. But the Frost Empress just looked down at me, her expression cold and distant. "Give me the amulets, and this will all be over." I was stunned. I looked at her in disbelief. "You too?" I asked, my voice trembling. "You really think I would do something like that?" For 3 years, everything between us had been a two-way street. If she gave me a useful item, I'd gift her a new cosmetic outfit. Did she really think I was the kind of person who would break my word over a bit of gold? Chloe didn't answer, but Julian stepped out from behind her, putting an arm around her shoulders, a look of profound hurt on his handsome face. "Chloe, let's just drop it. It's just some gold. It's not worth it." His words seemed to erase whatever hesitation she might have had. Her gaze turned to ice. "If that's how you want to play it, then fine. We'll play." With that, she opened the server's bounty board and posted a notice. Server-wide bounty, 500 real-world dollars for every confirmed kill of the player Starfall. Bring proof to collect. The entire server exploded. Holy crap, $500 a kill? She really knows how to spoil her man. You guys can fight over the kills here. I'm going to go camp his respawn point. No wonder this ugly loser is so stubborn. Who knew his head was worth more than a raid boss? The chat was a mix of awe and ridicule. My heart turned to stone. That bounty notice, pinned for the whole server to see, hurt more than any of the deaths that had come before. I was still standing, but inside, I felt like I had been sliced into 1,000 pieces. As the crowd of players closed in, for the first time, I didn't even try to fight back. I just logged off. Back in the real world, I buried myself under my covers and lay awake all night. For the next 3 days, I didn't log into the game. I just worked, waiting for the deadline Chloe had given me to pass. 3 days later, right on schedule, Chloe called. "About the contract," she said. "I'd like to talk in person. Meet me at the cafe on 5th. I didn't refuse. I arrived, wearing a hat and mask, and saw that Chloe wasn't alone. There was a man with her. "This is my boyfriend, Julian Croft," Chloe said, her gaze on him incredibly soft. "He's also the streamer, Julian. Since you play the game, Mr. Cole, you've probably heard of him." I glanced up. I don't really follow streamers. Julian's expression soured. "Chloe said she's paying you more than enough. You should know when you've got a good thing and just finish the art. Don't make this difficult." "I've already told you, I'm not doing it." I couldn't be bothered to argue with him. I slid a debit card across the table. I spoke with a lawyer. This covers the termination fee. The PIN is 6 zeros. I'm leaving. I stood to leave, but Chloe stopped me. Mr. Cole, please. This project, it's for him. It's a dream I've been working on for 6 years. Whatever your reasons are, I'm begging you to finish the character designs. If there's a problem, tell me. I'll fix it. Hearing her words, my nails dug into my palms. She would do all this for Julian, so why had she been so cruel to me? I took a deep breath to steady myself, then gave a bitter laugh. Because my name is Ethan Cole, and in the game I'm Starfall. Is that reason enough for you? Without waiting to see their reactions, I turned and walked away, practically running back to my apartment. I collapsed onto my sofa, the room spinning around me. Whatever shred of dignity I had tried to hold onto was gone, all because of her. After that meeting, Chloe didn't contact me again. Seemed like it was finally over. I tried to move on, but the sting of tears wouldn't leave my eyes. The next day, I was woken up by a frantic call from my agent. Ethan, you're being canceled on Twitter. I was stunned. I opened my phone and saw my name trending on Twitter. Shocking. Renowned illustrator revealed as Ethelgard's ugliest player, accused of fraud and breach of contract. Julian had done another live stream. In the video, he was crying. Everyone knows Chloe is making a game for me, and the concept artist she hired was Ethan Cole. But out of pure jealousy, right as the project was nearing completion, he quit, delaying the entire game. I just want to say, Starfall, if this is about me, then I'm sorry. But please, don't throw away 6 years of Chloe's hard work. He even showed a candid photo he had taken of me at the cafe. In the photo, I was wearing my hat and mask, but he had photoshopped it to make me look hunched and pathetic. After that, my Twitter mentions were a war zone. I used to love this artist's work. I can't believe he's such a terrible person. No wonder he's the ugliest guy in the game. You can just tell he's ugly even with the mask on. Hey, at least he's considerate enough to wear a mask outside, so he doesn't scare people with that face. The online harassment was so intense that it started to affect my other professional contracts. I called Chloe in disbelief, but she didn't answer. Meanwhile, Chloe casually declined my call, her eyes fixed on her computer's desktop background. It was a photograph of a boy in a school uniform, seen only in profile. He wore no makeup, but he was breathtakingly handsome. It was her first love, the boy she'd had a crush on since college, the one who had posted that one photo and then vanished from the internet for 6 years. The boy who was now her boyfriend. Julian walked up behind her and wrapped his arms around her. Chloe, why are you staring at an old photo? I'm right here. Isn't the real thing better? Chloe's gaze lingered on the screen for a moment longer. You seem different from the photo, she said, her voice quiet. Julian's expression flickered for a second before he smiled. It's been years. People change. Are you saying I'm not me anymore? Chloe didn't answer. She looked from the boy in the photo to the man beside her. The features were similar, but something felt wrong. She couldn't put her finger on it. As the online harassment reached its peak, Julian contacted me. He was smug and confident. Finish the art and I'll call off the dogs. As for the termination fee you paid and the original commission payment, we'll call that compensation for my emotional distress. You can try to expose me, of course. But who do you think they'll believe? I hung up on him. Not only did I refuse, I posted a public statement on my Twitter. The termination fee has been paid in full. I will never create art for these two individuals as long as I live. I've been this way my whole life. No one can force me to do something I don't want to do. I even logged back into the game. As expected, the moment I appeared, I was hunted by the entire server. I was killed over and over, losing almost all of my gear. Thankfully, I had been smart enough to put the Twin Flames amulets in my personal, secure storage, so they couldn't be looted. I learned how to hide. This time, I found a remote corner of the map and hid in a thicket of reeds. As I was hiding, I heard a low, amused voice nearby. So you're the infamous Starfall with the bounty on his head? My heart jumped. I looked toward the voice and saw a woman dressed all in black, her face covered by a mask, lounging on a log with a fishing rod propped beside her. If she hadn't spoken, I would have mistaken her for an NPC. I asked quietly, "Are you here to kill me for the bounty too?" She just laughed. "I don't kill for pocket change," she said calmly. "I'm just curious. Why not just give them what they want and end all this?" I was silent for a moment. I guess it's a matter of principle. I didn't expect her to understand. I was about to find a new hiding spot when she spoke again. "How about you hire me instead?" I froze. "What?" The woman in black explained. "Hire me. Your payment will be those amulets thereafter." I'll help you get your revenge. Deal? As she spoke, she opened her character profile. A gleaming gold title hovered above her name. Server's #1 assassin. The system-generated description was even more impressive. She can kill a man in 10 steps and vanish without a trace. The undisputed master of the shadows. She was the top-ranked player on the assassin leaderboards. The legendary, elusive #1 assassin, Winter's Edge. Staring at her unbelievable stats and kill record, my jaw slowly closed. I clenched and unclenched my fists. Okay, I said, my voice trembling but firm. 15 minutes later, we were in the main plaza of Silverwood. I walked out of the teleporter and headed toward my old guild hall, a place I hadn't been in a long time. Just as I arrived, the Frost Empress and Julian were walking out. The sight of the three of us together immediately drew a crowd. Look, the scamming dog dares to show his face. Guess he hasn't learned his lesson yet. Is he here to beg Julian for forgiveness? After scamming him in the game and screwing him over in real life? The nerve of this guy. Why are you even talking to him? Get him. That $500 is mine. The crowd started to close in, but the Frost Empress held up a hand, stopping them. She asked me in a low voice, "What are you doing here?" I looked her straight in the eye. "I'm here," I said, enunciating every word, "to get justice for myself." My words were met with a roar of laughter from the crowd. Has Starfall lost his mind? Talking so big. It's hilarious. Let's place bets on how many times he dies today. I'll put my money on 30. Julian looked at me with utter contempt. You and what army? Before he could finish, a cloud of black smoke materialized at my side. In the blink of an eye, the smoke shot through the crowd like a phantom, straight toward Julian. The Frost Empress reacted instantly, moving to intercept, but the figure was as fast as lightning. With just a few swift moves, Julian let out a terrified scream and dissolved into particles of light, killed on the spot. A kill notification flashed in the local area chat. Winter's Edge has slain Julian, earning the achievements Precision Strike and One-Hit Kill. To one-shot a veteran player, especially in a city where PvP damage is reduced, was a terrifying display of power. The crowd's mood shifted instantly. The black smoke cleared, revealing the masked figure in Dark Assassin's gear. Her gear was understated, but the gleaming gold title above her head was impossible to miss. Server's #1 assassin. Holy crap, isn't that Winter's Edge? What is she doing here? I thought it was a hacker. Even the Frost Empress couldn't stop her. It's the legend herself. With everyone watching, the Frost Empress, her face grim, confronted Winter's Edge. What is the meaning of this? Are you declaring war on the Ethelgard Guild? Winter's Edge didn't even glance at her. Instead, she posted a server-wide announcement. From now on, for every time Starfall is killed, Julian will die too. With that, she turned and led me away, walking straight through the stunned crowd. There were dozens of players around us, but not a single one dared to stand in our way. That night, the game's forums were on fire. Isn't Winter's Edge supposed to be a total lone wolf? I heard someone once offered her 6 figures for a job and she turned it down. Why is she helping this ugly loser? A few people killed Starfall this afternoon, and true to her word, Winter's Edge went and killed Julian each time. She even snuck into their guild hall to do it. That's so bold. It's a total slap in the face to the Frost Empress. I don't get it. First the Frost Empress, now Winter's Edge. Why are all these top-tier players getting involved with this ugly nobody? Who cares what happens in the game? In real life, Chloe is a CEO and Julian is a famous streamer. I'd like to see Winter's Edge and Starfall reveal what they do for a living. The forums were a battlefield. Just then, I received a private message from the Frost Empress. I'm going to declare war on Winter's Edge. You'd be wise to stay away from her. I frowned at the cryptic message. From the moment she let the rumors spread, let Julian slander me, and put that bounty on my head, whatever we had was over. She was the one who threw it all away. I replied with a single sentence. What's it to you? Then I opened my friends list. A prompt appeared. Are you sure you want to block the player, Frost Empress? I hit confirm without hesitation. Over the next few days, as Winter's Edge killed Julian again and again, the bounty on my head was finally removed. People still hurled insults at me wherever I went, but no one dared to attack me anymore, terrified of becoming the next person on Winter's Edge's hit list. For the first time in what felt like forever, I could walk openly through the streets of Silverwood. A strange sense of melancholy washed over me. On a whim, I stayed up all night working on a new piece of art. In the painting, Winter's Edge stood on a rooftop, wearing the same dark gear she had on when we first met. Below her, The city of Silverwood glittered with 1,000 lights. Her cold eyes looked down upon the world below, as if everything and everyone was insignificant. Looking at the finished piece, I felt a surge of pride. My life had been a complete mess lately. This was the first time I had been able to truly focus on my art, and it was one of my best pieces. I sent a message to Winter's Edge. Thank you for everything. In addition to the amulets we agreed on, I'd like to give you a painting as well. Her reply was brief. Not necessary. I took a picture of the painting and sent it to her anyway. 3 seconds later, a new message came through. Okay. I smiled to myself. What's your address? I can ship it to you. Instead, she sent me a location pin. Let's meet in person. Dinner's on me. It was a new French restaurant downtown. I hesitated for a moment, but then agreed. Okay. See you this weekend. Meanwhile, at that same French restaurant downtown, the restaurant manager was briefing Chloe Vance. Ms. Vance, the restaurant has been decorated as you requested. We're calling the few remaining reservations to cancel. There won't be any issues. Mr. Croft's proposal this weekend will be a complete surprise. The manager was excited, but Chloe felt nothing. She didn't understand why. She was about to propose to the man she had loved for 6 years, but she felt none of the excitement she had anticipated. Chloe took out her phone and instinctively opened her message thread with me. My last message to her, "What's it to you?" had been bothering her for days. Her fingers hovered over the screen, then she typed a message. "I'm proposing this weekend. Will you come?" But the message failed to send. A bright red exclamation point appeared next to it. He had blocked her. He had blocked her. Chloe's hand tightened around her phone. The weekend arrived quickly. I put on a simple face mask and headed out. When I got to the restaurant, before I could even say anything, the hostess stopped me. "I'm sorry, sir, but the restaurant is closed for a private event tonight." I paused, then took off my mask. "But my friend made the reservation. Could you please double-check?" After I spoke, she just stared at me, speechless. I looked up and saw the young woman at the host stand staring at me, completely dumbfounded. "Hello," I said, trying to get her attention. She finally snapped out of it, her face turning bright red. She started nodding frantically. Yes, of course, please, right this way." She gestured vaguely toward the main dining room. After I had walked away, she finally came to her senses, cupping her face in her hands. "Oh my God," she whispered to herself. "Is that the guy Ms. Vance booked the whole restaurant to propose to?" Inside, preparations were in full swing for a massive, elaborate proposal. Chloe had invited all of Julian's local fans to be there in person, and she had even set up a public live stream for those who couldn't make it. Everyone who had arrived was buzzing with excitement. After today, the Frost Empress is going to be public enemy #1 for all of us. How can you even compare? The Frost Empress is just as beautiful in real life as her avatar. She's rich, and she's totally devoted. We can only dream. Her only mistake was probably getting tangled up with Starfall. Being stuck with that ugly loser for 3 years? I would have died. I wish that ugly freak could be here to see this. He'd probably die of jealousy. As a string quartet began to play, Julian walked into the room, and a shower of rose petals rained down from above. He covered his mouth, feigning surprise as if he had no idea this was planned. The crowd cheered, and the livestream chat went wild. "This is like a scene from a movie. Julian is so handsome, a real-life prince. They look so good together, so easy on the eyes." But then, a dissenting comment scrolled past. "Is he? I don't know, he looks kind of average to me. Not nearly as good as his avatar or how he looks on his stream. He's just a normal handsome guy." The comment immediately drew the ire of the other viewers. "Are you blind? You call that not good looking? You must be one of Starfall's fans. If you have terrible taste, just leave. Don't pollute our chat with your love for ugly freaks." The people in the restaurant couldn't see the argument in the chat. The applause was thunderous, and people were chanting, "Say yes, say yes." With everyone watching, Chloe walked up to Julian. "Will you marry?" Before she could finish, the main doors to the dining room swung open, and someone walked in. Chloe instinctively looked up, and she froze. It wasn't just her. Everyone in the room, the moment they saw the man standing in the doorway, fell silent. He was wearing a simple t-shirt, no makeup, nothing fancy. But the moment they saw his face, everyone in the room felt their heart skip a beat. In an instant, the entire restaurant fell completely, unnaturally silent. People who had been clapping froze mid-clap. Others just stared, their mouths hanging open. No one in the room said a word, but after a moment of stunned silence, the live stream chat exploded. "Holy crap, who is that? He's not even trying. He's just effortlessly gorgeous. I feel like this is what Julian is supposed to look like. This is the face I imagined. Are you crazy? Don't you dare compare Julian to someone on this level. That's like comparing a mortal to a god. I was a bit taken aback myself, looking at the crowd of people who seemed to be frozen in time. It was only when I took a few more steps inside and saw Chloe, down on one knee in the center of the room, that I realized what was happening. I had accidentally crashed her proposal. I frowned, muttered an apology, and turned to leave. My voice broke the spell, and Chloe snapped back to reality. The face of the man in front of her suddenly, perfectly, overlapped with the 6-year-old photograph she had treasured for so long. Her pupils constricted. She rushed forward and grabbed my wrist, her grip like iron. "What's your name?" She asked the question carefully, but her grip was painfully tight. Couldn't break free. I closed my eyes, took a deep breath, and looked her right in the eye. My voice was cold and clear, echoing through the silent restaurant and the live stream's audio feed. "My name is Ethan Cole. In the game, I'm known as Starfall." The moment I finished speaking, the restaurant was plunged back into a dead, profound silence. The live stream chat froze for a split second, and then it erupted. "Holy crap, this has to be scripted. There's no way Starfall is this handsome. Listen to his voice. That's definitely Starfall's voice. I always thought it was a shame such a great voice belonged to such an ugly character. I guess it makes sense now. I thought Julian was good looking, but standing next to this guy, he looks so plain. You're not crazy. This is reality. Starfall is the real #1 handsome man of the game." As the comments flew by, the camera caught Julian's expression, which had turned sour. He stepped forward and put an arm around Chloe. "Chloe, I'm sure Starfall didn't mean to interrupt. Don't be upset. I'll marry you. Let's go." Julian tried to lead Chloe away, but she stood rooted to the spot. Staring at me, Chloe's eyes widened, her mind a complete blank. She stiffly reached into her pocket and pulled out a worn photograph. "Is this you?" I didn't take it, but I glanced down. It was a photo of me from a track meet in high school. "Where did you get that?" I asked. Before Chloe could answer, one of the fans she had invited spoke up. "That photo went viral on a gaming forum 6 years ago. You didn't know?" She then shot a complicated, meaningful look at Julian. The person who posted it, their username was Julian. I thought for a moment. I did have an account with that name, but it was deleted a long time ago. I was a senior in high school back then, completely focused on studying for finals. That track meet was one of the only times I let myself relax. After the photo was taken, I posted it on my old Twitter account and then dove right back into my studies. A few months later, after graduation, I tried to log back in, but the site had had some kind of system failure and my account was gone. As soon as I said that, people in the chat started to chime in. It's a pretty common username. I have like 10 people on my friends list named XX_gamer_XX. Yeah, but Julian isn't exactly John Smith. It's pretty clear someone was trying to impersonate him. Hearing this, the remaining doubters in the room finally understood. All eyes shifted between me and Julian. The contrast was stark. So Julian is a fraud? An imposter? It looks like it. You can tell he's had work done. He probably got plastic surgery to look like the guy in the photo. How shameless. Hearing the whispers of ridicule, Julian's face went pale. He desperately tried to leave. "Chloe, we've known each other for a while now. You know I'm not that kind of person. I'm sure this is all just a big misunderstanding, a coincidence." But Chloe pulled her hand away from his, her eyes never leaving my face. "Why?" she asked me, her voice trembling. "Why did you make your character so ugly?" She was desperate for an answer, but I didn't want to get dragged any further into this mess. "Excuse me," I said. "I seem to have come to the wrong place. I didn't mean to interrupt." I turned to leave, but just then, the main doors opened again. A tall, slender woman walked in. Her features were as perfectly carved as a statue, and she carried an air of cool detachment. "Winter's Edge?" I asked. She looked exactly like her in-game avatar, just dressed in modern, casual clothes. She nodded and held out a hand to me. "Sorry, they never called me to cancel our reservation. Come on, I'll take you somewhere else." I was about to go with her, but my other arm was suddenly grabbed. "Ethan, please, listen to me," Chloe said, her voice trembling with desperation, as if terrified I would leave. "I didn't know it was you in the photo. The person I love is you. It's always been you. I've been in love with you for 6 years." But I cut her off, pulling my arm away. My voice was ice. "Let go of me, Chloe. We're done." My words hung in the air. Chloe froze, and the room fell silent once more. Her hand fell away, limp. I pulled my arm back, rubbing my wrist, and turned to leave. But then someone from the crowd shouted, "Wait, are you really Starfall? This isn't just some model he hired to get revenge, is it? Why else would his in-game character be so ugly?" The question sent a ripple of murmurs through the crowd. Yeah, maybe Starfall planned this whole thing to ruin the proposal. I mean, if you could hire someone that good-looking, it might be worth it. And why now? We've been calling him ugly for 3 years. Why reveal himself now? I had heard so many rumors like this before that they no longer bothered me. I couldn't be bothered to explain. I just wanted to leave. But the woman beside me, Winter's Edge, stopped. She turned and looked back at the crowd, her eyes like ice. When the room had fallen silent again, she said, her voice dripping with contempt, "I'm not blind." With that, she took my arm and led me out of the restaurant. Her words echoed in the silent restaurant and were broadcast to thousands on the live stream. The chat went wild. That was such a badass line from Winter's Edge. She was totally throwing shade at Chloe for being blind and falling for an imposter. So satisfying. And she's right. You can't even compare Julian to Ethan. Chloe really fumbled the bag on this one. The drama was still unfolding online, but I was already outside the restaurant with the woman I knew as Winter's Edge. A black Maybach was parked at the curb. She opened the passenger door. "My mistake. Come on, I know another place." I was about to refuse, but I thought better of it and got in. I took out the rolled-up canvas. "Winter's Edge, this is for you. I hope you like it." She took the painting, and the tension in her brow seemed to melt away. She cleared her throat. "My name is Sophia Reed." It was true. Using game handles was fine in the game, but it felt awkward in real life. "I'm Ethan Cole," I said with a small, embarrassed smile, getting into the car. The new restaurant Sophia chose was a private, high-end place overlooking the Hudson. The food was incredible, far better than I had expected. I had always assumed places like this were more about style than substance. Sophia was busy typing on her phone, but she answered without looking up. "It's a friend's place. It's not open to the public, so they can focus on quality." In other words, it was incredibly expensive. I was taken aback and felt a pang of guilt. "You shouldn't have. I was supposed to be thanking you. Let me get this." Sophia shook her head. "Don't worry about it. If you really want to thank me, you can help me win this." She slid her phone across the table. It was a poster for the annual Ethelgard's Dream Duo tournament. The grand prize, a legendary weapon, was circled in red. "I want that weapon," she said. "You can have the other prize, the Orb of Transformation." The Orb of Transformation allowed a player to completely redesign their character's appearance. I shook my head. "I'll compete with you, but I don't need the orb. It doesn't matter to me what my character looks like anymore. I don't care what other people think." Sophia tapped her fingers on the table, a small smile playing on her lips. "Suit yourself." After dinner, Sophia drove me home. "I'll take care of the online smear campaign and Julian's lies," she said as I got out of the car. "Log on later. We need to get your power level up." With that, she sped off. When I got home, I checked the game's forums. They were in an absolute uproar. The Frost Empress and Julian, the most disastrous proposal in gaming history. Starfall revealed as the real Dreamboat, Julian accused of being an imposter. I clicked on the thread. It was a recording of the proposal. Someone had screenshotted the stream, placing a picture of my unadorned face next to one of Julian's perfectly styled photos. The comments were completely one-sided. "Starfall wins. No contest. A truly handsome guy doesn't need all that effort." In comparison, Julian looks like he's trying way too hard. Like someone who just won the lottery and is trying to buy class. I've been thinking this for a while. Julian isn't even that good looking. I just assumed he hadn't aged well. Turns out he was a fake all along. The nerve. Reading the endless mockery, Julian nearly crushed his phone in his hand. "He thinks he can take everything from me just because he has a pretty face," he seethed, his eyes filled with venom. "You just wait, Starfall. I'm going to take back everything you stole from me, and more. I'll make sure you can never show your face in this game again." I was a bit surprised to see a friend request from Julian pop up. A monster charged at me, but Winter's Edge cut it down with a single blow. "What's wrong?" she asked. "Distracted in the middle of a dungeon? Because of the server-wide bounty, I had lost a lot of levels. If we were going to compete in the tournament, I needed to practice and catch up." I stared at the friend request for a moment. "Nothing," I said, "just a bit of lag." I dragged his name to my block list. By the time we finished the dungeon, I had gained 2 levels, but I was still a long way from my former strength. "Let's pick this up tomorrow," Sophia said. "Get some rest." Then she logged off. I left the dungeon and headed back to town to do some crafting. But the moment I stepped outside, a shimmering white barrier appeared in front of me. I looked down. I was standing in the middle of a giant, glowing hexagram. The world blurred, and when my vision cleared, I was somewhere else entirely. Standing in front of me was a very familiar figure, the Frost Empress. My expression immediately hardened. A rich CEO like you, still holding my termination fee hostage? The spell that had just summoned me was a rare, single-use item that cost a fortune in real money. It could forcibly teleport any player to your location. Chloe's eyes darkened. You really don't want to see me that badly? I replied calmly. I just don't understand why you would go to such lengths. We have nothing to do with each other anymore. My tone was neutral, but for some reason, her expression hardened. She stepped forward, grabbing my arm and backing me into a corner. We were closer than we had ever been in our 3 years as an in-game couple. There was a strange, pained look in Chloe's eyes. Her voice trembled. Ethan, you and her, you have perfect synergy in dungeons. How long have you known each other? Were you playing with her? Even before we broke up, I realized then that I must have left my allow spectating feature on. She could watch my gameplay whenever she wanted. And just because Sophia and I worked well together, she had jumped to the conclusion that we had known each other for a long time. Starfall, were you cheating on me? Hearing that question, I actually laughed. Chloe, no. You were the one who said our relationship meant nothing, that we were just questing partners. How can you cheat on a questing partner? I was throwing her own words right back in her face. I pushed her away and turned to leave, but her voice stopped me, suddenly soft. What if I told you that it was always you, that you were the one I was looking for all along, that it was all a terrible mistake? Would you be willing to come back to me? Her words hung in the air, followed by a long, heavy silence. I didn't answer. I just looked at her, the Frost Empress, the top-ranked warrior on the server, the most popular female player on the forums, with a legion of fans, wealthy beyond most people's wildest dreams, and a face so beautiful that no beauty filter could ever hope to replicate it. A person like that should be adored by everyone wherever she went. So why, when I looked at her now, did I feel absolutely nothing? Even when I had stumbled upon her proposal, when I had seen her on one knee in front of another man, I hadn't felt a single pang of jealousy or sadness. The virtual night wind blew around us. The in-game calendar said it was the 15th of the month, and the moon was full and bright. I suddenly remembered the first time we had spent a holiday together in the game, 3 years ago. We had only known each other for a short time. I had logged on by myself and found the game world quiet and empty. Her status showed she was online, so I curiously sent her a party invite. It's a holiday, you have time to play? Not with family? No, she replied, cutting down a monster without even glancing at me. My parents are overseas. They don't really check in. Her face was splattered with monster blood. Her eyes were cold and determined, but her voice sounded small, like a stubborn child's. I was taken aback and felt a little guilty. I changed the subject. I'm sorry. My parents passed away a few years ago, so I'm alone too. Let's play together. As I spoke, I cast a healing spell on her. A green orb of light enveloped her, and her health bar, which had been slightly depleted, instantly refilled. She seemed surprised, but she didn't object. Some of the coldness in her eyes seemed to fade. The seasons passed. Time in the game moved twice as fast as in the real world. We had spent the equivalent of 6 years together, and now all that was left was this bitter end. Chloe, I used to think I was special to you, but you were the one who told me the truth. You betrayed me with another man and shattered every illusion I had. You never loved me. I do love you, she interrupted, her voice cracking. I've kept that photo for 6 years. It was always you I loved, never anyone else. I became your partner in the game because I was drawn to you. Why else would I have stayed with you when so many people made fun of you, of us? After 3 years, could you really not see how much I cared? Her voice was trembling, but I just watched her, saying nothing. I waited a long time, until her breathing had evened out, before I spoke. And what if I wasn't the boy from the photograph? A look of stunned confusion flashed in her eyes. I continued, my voice calm and even. If I was really just some ugly, average guy, not the boy you've been dreaming of for 6 years, would you still be here now, asking me to come back? Chloe looked at me, and for once, she was speechless. Her silence, and the turmoil in her eyes, was all the answer I needed. She wouldn't have. I was right. If I were just some ordinary person, she wouldn't have given me a second glance. But we were in love. No, I said, my voice flat, devoid of any emotion. The single word, spoken so softly, landed with the force of a physical blow. You were in love with an idea of me and I was in love with you, but we were never in love with each other. Even if it was all a misunderstanding, it just proves we were never meant to be. I will never love you again. With that, I turned and left without another word. Chloe was left standing alone, staring at the empty space where I had been, as if I had never been there at all. My words, which had struck her like lightning, seemed to fade into the night. My avatar vanished, leaving behind only a faint shimmer of light that quickly faded. Chloe reached out, as if to catch one of the fading motes of light, but it slipped through her fingers. As she watched it disappear, she was struck by a sudden, overwhelming feeling of loss, the sense that she had just let something precious and irreplaceable slip away forever. To help me level up faster, Sophia suggested I start live streaming my gameplay. The game had a promotional feature. If you were streaming and had over 1,000 viewers, you got a 10% experience boost. The more viewers, the bigger the boost. It was a great way to level up quickly. I was hesitant. Will anyone even watch? My real-life appearance had cleared up some of the rumors, but the story about the art commission was still out there. I was afraid I'd just be met with a wave of hate. Sophia didn't say much, just 2 words. Don't be. For some reason, her simple confidence was like a shot of adrenaline. Suddenly, all the online drama seemed insignificant. That night, I created a new streaming account. I hesitated for a moment when choosing a username, then typed in Starfall. Sophia asked, "You're not going to try and get your old username back?" I paused, then realized she was talking about my old handle, Julian. I shook my head. No, that name doesn't belong to me anymore. I created the account, linked it to the game, and started streaming without any announcement or fanfare. I had just killed a single low-level monster when I glanced at the viewer count. It was already in the tens of thousands. Go, Ethan. You're an amazing support player. How does he still look so good with the terrible, unflattering camera angle from the VR headset? I just scrolled onto the stream and thought it was a CGI model. I'd sell my soul to look like that. I looked at the chat and couldn't help but smile. There were so many rumors online, and it was easy for people to be misled. I wasn't going to hold it against people who didn't know the whole story. My smile sent the chat into a frenzy. He just smiled at me. I can die happy now. So handsome. That smile could melt glaciers. I'm making that my new profile pic. Amid the flood of compliments, one comment caught my eye. Why are you grinding so hard? You're a support class. I smiled and answered, because I need to get stronger. I'm entering the tournament. The roster for the duo tournament had been released the night before. Besides Sophia and me, Chloe and Julian were also on the list. Everyone was anticipating a showdown between our 2 teams. The chat was full of supportive comments, and then Sophia's voice cut in, dry and quiet. He wouldn't have to be grinding like this if he hadn't been ganked so many times and lost all his levels. The chat went silent for a second, and then it was flooded with apologies. I'm so sorry. I'm a terrible person. I was one of the people who killed you for that $500. I'm sending you a donation right now. I feel so bad for Ethan. He went through all that alone. At least he has Winter's Edge to stand up for him now. Did anyone else think Winter's Edge sounded super protective just now? Is it weird that I kind of shipped them? As the comments flew by, out of my line of sight, Sophia cut down another monster, a small, almost imperceptible smile on her lips. After the stream ended, I said goodbye to the viewers. After we finished, Sophia and I left the dungeon. The loading screen appeared, and then my game froze for a second. I was about to say something, but then a carrier pigeon flew up to my character. It was the game system for sending gifts. Regular messages just went to your inbox, but a pigeon meant someone had sent you an item. I opened it. It contained some experience orbs and a couple of decent items. The attached note read, "I'm sorry. I was part of the group that hunted you. Here's what I got from it. Please take it back." I realized it was one of the players trying to make amends. Before I could even react, I looked up and saw a flood of them. Tens of thousands of carrier pigeons, filling the sky, like the scene in Harry Potter with the Hogwarts letters, a massive, overwhelming wave of messages. Each one contained experience orbs, and each one had a simple message attached. I'm sorry. Reading the countless, sincere apologies, my eyes started to burn. Most people, I realized, were good at heart, just like I had hoped. They had just been misled, and their silence had allowed the hate to fester. After I absorbed all the experience orbs, my power level shot up. I was back to being the number 2 ranked healer on the server. Julian is still number 1. You're close, Sophia noted, looking at the leaderboards. Then she quickly changed the subject. Get some rest. And with that, she logged off. I sighed. Sophia was always like that, all business. She'd log on, we'd run dungeons, and then she'd log off. Felt more like a job to her than a game. Maybe, in her eyes, that's all we were, partners for the tournament, not friends. With that thought, I logged off as well. When I logged off, I saw a message on my phone from Chloe. I've refunded your termination fee. You can keep the advance payment. I'll handle the online situation. The project is cancelled. I checked my bank account. The money was there. I replied, I'm not going to take the job back, but I know some other artists. Do you want a recommendation? The game itself was beautifully designed. It seemed a shame for it to be abandoned. The typing indicator appeared and disappeared several times before she finally replied with 2 words. No need. I was never doing it for the money anyway. I didn't reply. I knew what she was trying to say, that it was all a misunderstanding, but what was the point of rehashing it now? I didn't reply. I stood up and stretched, noticing it was already dark outside. After years of working from home as an artist, my sleep schedule was completely nocturnal. I left my apartment to grab some water and snacks from the corner store, and I saw a poster for a new movie based on the work of one of my favorite graphic novelists. I had been so busy and stressed lately that I had completely forgotten it was coming out. Seeing that I had time before the next showing, I hailed a cab and went straight to the theater. By the time the movie was over, it was late. The moment I stepped out of the theater, I felt it. Someone was following me. I instinctively started walking faster, but they matched my pace, staying right behind me. Where are you running off to, handsome? A drunken woman's voice slurred from behind me. Why don't you come have some fun with me? Her eyes were filled with a predatory lust. I snapped at her coldly. Leave me alone. I don't know you. But she kept coming closer. Please. Dressed like that at this time of night, you're obviously looking for it. It's not like I'm not going to pay you. Before she could finish her sentence, I slapped her. Hard. The force of the blow sent her stumbling to the ground. My own hand stung and turned red. You're disgusting, I said, my voice shaking with rage. It had been happening my whole life. In high school, a teacher had harassed me. When I entered the workforce, it got worse. I had to quit 3 different jobs in 6 months because of workplace harassment. The last time, my boss's husband had shown up at the office. How you look is not an excuse for how you act. Get away from me. I turned to leave, but she scrambled back to her feet, furious. You little brat, you're going to regret that. I'm not letting you get away. I braced myself for a fight, but then a sharp, authoritative voice cut through the night. Don't touch him. The voice was familiar, but I couldn't place it. I opened my eyes. Someone was standing in front of me, and they had effortlessly subdued the drunken woman, pinning her to the ground. Public intoxication and harassment. You're coming with me. When I saw her sharp, familiar eyes, I realized who it was. It's you. It was the police captain who had driven me home that night. The moment I recognized her, my racing heart began to slow. I breathed a sigh of relief and went with her to the station to give a statement. After I finished, I came out to the main lobby and saw that the captain was still there, seemingly waiting for me. The officer at the front desk grinned at me. All done? The captain's been waiting for you. That's the 2nd time she's had to rescue you. Must be fate. It was a harmless joke, but before I could respond, the captain shot him a glare. You're in uniform, officer. Act like it. You represent this department. The officer immediately shut up, giving an embarrassed smile before turning back to his work. I quickly waved it off. It's okay. Then I turned to the captain. Thank you, Captain. She raised an eyebrow slightly, then cleared her throat. It's late. I'll give you a ride home. With anyone else, I would have been wary, but with a police officer, I knew I was safe. Thank you. I'd appreciate that. Sitting in the passenger seat of her Range Rover again, I let out an exhausted sigh. She started the car and drove in silence for a few blocks before speaking. Next time something like that happens, don't engage. With someone that drunk, you're the one who's going to get hurt. I paused, then looked down at my hands. I know, but a wave of frustration and injustice washed over me. It wasn't my fault, so why was I always the one who had to be careful, to hide, to back down? In the darkness of the car, the feeling of injustice was amplified. I was about to argue, but then she continued. You have every right to look however you want. What happened tonight was not your fault. But I want you to think about your own safety. The perpetrator will be punished. That's justice. But you getting hurt in the process? That's just a tragedy. Her calm, reasonable voice echoed in the quiet car. I was surprised, and a warmth spread through my chest. Thank you, I said, and I meant it. Can I ask your name? I had troubled her twice now. The least I could do was send a letter of commendation to her superiors. Captain Ava Chen, homicide. When we reached my building, I thanked Captain Chen again. I was about to head inside when I realized the elevator wasn't working. Then I remembered the notice from building management. They were doing electrical maintenance overnight. I looked at the dark, empty stairwell and felt a chill. I heard Captain Chen's voice from behind me. "I'll walk you up." I breathed a sigh of relief and thanked her, feeling a bit guilty. "I'm really sorry for all the trouble. I'll be sure to send a commendation to your precinct." My dad had been a cop. He was always so proud of the commendation plaques he received, prouder of them than any official department award. Thinking of my dad reopened an old wound in my heart, a familiar, bitter ache. He had faced down death so many times in his career, only to die off duty, drowning while trying to save a drowning boy. The boy hadn't made it either, swept away by the current. When we reached my apartment door, I said, "Thank you, Captain Chun. I'm home now. Can I get you a glass of water?" Ava paused, her lips pressed into a thin line. "No, thank you." She looked up, meeting my eyes. "What's your name?" "Ethan Cole," I answered. "Ethan Cole," she repeated, her eyes clouding over with some unreadable emotion. After a moment, she turned and left without another word. I got inside and immediately checked the game forums. I was trending again. Is Starfall's face fake? New evidence suggests he's a gold digger juggling multiple rich women. The thread was a bombshell and the forums exploded. I clicked on it. It was a series of candid photos. There were pictures of me with Chloe, with Sophia, and even one of me with Captain Chun. The anonymous poster wrote, "Here's the so-called most handsome man Starfall. Not only is he involved with two of the game's top players, but he's also seeing some other woman in real life. Look at her car, that thing must have cost a fortune. Guess it pays to be handsome." Then the post took a turn. "But you don't have to be born with it. Anyone can look like that with enough plastic surgery. After all, Starfall's face isn't natural. He had work done at a clinic owned by a friend of mine. I'm not trying to promote them. I just can't stand him pretending he's all natural." He said it with such authority and even posted proof. It was a screenshot from my live stream, with a small shadow under my nose circled in red. "See? That's a scar from a nose job. I'm not saying plastic surgery is bad, but lying about it and pretending to be all natural just to get views and donations is disgusting." And of course, people in the comments believed it. I knew no one could look that perfect naturally. He's definitely had work done. Maybe that's what he was doing for 3 years, using the Frost Empress's money to pay for his plastic surgery. Why else would he have hidden his face for so long? If I looked like that, I'd be showing it off. But amidst the flood of accusations, I was surprised to see a few comments defending me. Why are you all so quick to jump to the worst possible conclusion? Wasn't one hate campaign enough for you? Even if he did have surgery, he looks amazing. Most people can't get results like that. An anonymous post with a few blurry photos? Yeah, that seems totally legit. Seeing those few kind comments amidst the sea of hate warmed my heart. I was about to post a reply, but the entire thread suddenly vanished. I had no idea what was going on. A second later, I got a message from Sophia. "Did you see the trending thread on the forums?" she asked. I replied, "I saw it." Before I could even hit send, another long message came through from her. "Ignore it. The finals of the duo tournament are going to be a live, in-person event. We'll have to cosplay as our characters. The truth will come out then. Don't worry about the rest." Staring at the wall of text from her, I was speechless. It was the most she had ever said to me at one time. While I was still processing, another message came through. "Are you free? Log on. Let's practice." In a bit of a daze, I logged on. Sophia immediately started a dungeon, and we played in silence. Normally, she was quiet when we played, only speaking up to call out enemy positions. But today's silence felt different, heavier. It was so awkward that I found myself trying to make small talk. "Did you see that new animated movie that just came out?" "I saw it today. It was pretty good." Sophia's character stopped moving for a second. "Did you see it with that person from the photos?" she asked, her tone unreadable. I paused, then realized she must have seen the forum post and gotten the wrong idea. "I went by myself," I explained. "On the way home, I had a run-in with that drunk woman and had to go to the police station. The officer gave me a ride home." Sophia stared at an approaching monster and made a non-committal sound. For some reason, the awkward tension between us seemed to vanish. A few days later, the annual Ethelgard's Dream Duo tournament officially began. The two most anticipated teams were, unsurprisingly, me and Sophia and Chloe and Julian. Because our power rankings were so high, both our teams were seeded directly into the semifinals. so we didn't have to compete for the first few days. But the forums were still buzzing with speculation about the four of us. I'm so curious about this live event. The organizers must have seen the drama and decided to capitalize on it. With everyone cosplaying in person, we'll finally see who's been using filters and who hasn't. The proposal stream had filters, so that doesn't count. Let's see what they all look like under the official tournament cameras. I scrolled through the comments for a bit, then closed the forum and went back to watching the tournament stream. I was watching one of the matches, while Sophia, wearing a cosmetic straw hat, was fishing nearby. She glanced over at my screen. Watching these amateurs is a waste of time. Come help me fish. As a former dedicated crafter, my fishing skill was maxed out. My chances of catching rare fish and treasure chests were much higher than hers. In her eyes, when it came to fishing, I was the master. I reached over and took the rod from her. A second later, I had a bite. A rare, golden koi. Judging by its color and quality, it was a top-tier catch. My eyes never left the tournament stream. I still want to watch. Finally, the day of the semifinals arrived. With the entire gaming community watching, the live, in-person tournament began. The event was being held in Honolulu, Hawaii. As I was heading downstairs with my suitcase, I saw someone I didn't expect. Captain Chun. Long time no see. What are you doing here? Ava Chun was dressed in civilian clothes, a black t-shirt and cargo pants, but she still radiated an aura of authority. She seemed a little surprised to see me. Official business, she explained simply. Her eyes fell to my suitcase. Going somewhere? Yeah, for work, I said. I have to go. See you around, Captain. I had only taken a few steps with my suitcase when I saw Sophia waiting by the curb. She was leaning against her car, an amused eyebrow raised. Was that your friendly neighborhood police officer? Yeah, I said with a wry smile. It's not the first time I've had to go to the police because of harassment. Sophia was silent for a moment, then her voice grew serious. There are a lot of creeps in this neighborhood. Why don't you move? I shook my head. It's not just this neighborhood. It's everywhere. I've had to quit jobs because of it. That's why I'm so afraid of people seeing my face. It's why I always cover up when I go out, and why I made my game character's face as ugly as possible. I gave a self-deprecating laugh. It's pathetic, isn't it? Letting something like that get to me. Sophia didn't say anything. Let's go. We got to the airport, boarded our flight, and a few hours later, we landed. A car from the tournament organizers picked us up and took us to the venue. We were separated into men's and women's dressing rooms to get into costume and makeup. I followed a staff member to the men's dressing room, where I found an unwelcome guest waiting for me. Julian was already in full costume and makeup. He didn't look quite as good as his in-game avatar. He blocked my way, his eyes filled with undisguised venom. He threw a wad of cash on the floor. Ethan, he said, his voice dripping with arrogance. The fact that Chloe is still with me should tell you who she really loves. Take this money and drop out of the tournament, or you'll regret it. I looked at him, then silently bent down and picked up the money, one bill at a time. A look of contempt flashed in Julian's eyes. Just as I thought, a pathetic, spineless pauper. I walked over to a nearby table and placed the neatly stacked bills on it. I'm not accepting your bribe, but money shouldn't be thrown on the floor. If you don't want it, leave it here. Someone else can take it. As for my answer, I picked up a bottle of water from the table, walked over to Julian, and poured it over his head. This is my answer. The water ruined his perfectly styled hair and makeup, sending streaks of black and brown running down his face. He was a complete mess. He shrieked, "Ethan, are you insane?" I looked at him coldly. This is just a warning. I don't want to get angry with you, but that doesn't mean I can't. Julian's face twisted into a mask of pure rage. He looked like he was about to say something else, but he knew he had to be on stage soon. He stormed off to get his makeup fixed. You just wait, Ethan, he snarled over his shoulder. I'm not done with you. I stood there for a moment, then let out a long sigh. I really didn't want to have anything more to do with my past. I sat down in the makeup artist's chair. She stared at me for a moment, stunned. The tournament organizers had spared no expense. The costumes and makeup artists were the best in the business. But even this seasoned professional, who had worked with countless celebrities and models, seemed taken aback when she saw my face. Like a perfectly carved statue, a flawless diamond, the kind of face you only see in dreams. She suddenly thought that all those male celebrities everyone raved about were nothing special in comparison. Snapping out of her daze, she muttered, "So handsome," to herself, and her touch became incredibly gentle, as if she were handling a priceless work of art. My makeup was supposed to be simple, mainly because my in-game character was so plain that he barely had any distinct features to replicate. But the makeup artist, a true professional, couldn't resist the opportunity to work with such a perfect canvas. I was about halfway through getting my makeup done when a shadow fell over me. I opened my eyes. A familiar figure was standing in front of me. Chloe. My relatively good mood instantly evaporated. "What is it?" I asked, my voice flat. Chloe looked at me, her voice trembling with emotion. "Ethan, do you know why I'm here?" I didn't answer. I didn't know why a high-powered CEO like her would waste her time on something as frivolous as a gaming tournament. But even if I didn't understand, I didn't care to find out. Whether she was here or not had nothing to do with me. But after a long moment of her just staring at me, I finally asked, "Is this about me pouring water on your fiancé?" The word fiancé seemed to strike her like a physical blow. She immediately shot back, "He's not my fiancé. I don't love him." She choked on her words, and her tone softened. Her hands, which had been clenched into fists at her sides, trembled and then relaxed. "Ethan, I came here for you. I know I made so many mistakes. These past few days, I've realized I've been in love with the real you all along. I remember all the times we ran dungeons together, how you always healed me. Whenever a new couple's outfit is released in the game, you're the first person I think of. Ethan, I don't love some online celebrity, some most handsome man. I love you. Will you please give me another chance?" A long, heavy silence followed her plea. Chloe's heart seemed to stop beating. After a long moment, I finally spoke. "Chloe, actually, I came here for you too." Her face lit up with a mixture of shock and hope. "Really?" But then I added, "To finally, truly defeat you." My words hung in the air, and the room fell silent once more. Chloe stared at me. My face, with just a touch of makeup, was almost inhumanly beautiful, but my eyes were filled with a hard, stubborn light. So unfamiliar. She realized then that in all their 3 years together, she had never really known me at all. Before she could say anything else, I dismissed her. "I need to get changed. Are you planning on staying in the men's dressing room, Ms. Vance?" Defeated, she slowly turned and left. She glanced back one last time at the closed door. I was on one side, she was on the other. The door wasn't locked. A simple turn of the handle would open it, but for some reason, she felt as if it were a solid wall of steel. Soon, all the competitors were in full costume and makeup, and the live stream officially began. The first day was just a pre-show event, where the competitors would appear in costume as their in-game characters. For added effect, the organizers had created life-sized posters of each competitor's in-game avatar to stand behind them, creating a stark visual comparison. The most striking contrast, of course, was mine. My plain, ugly avatar looked completely out of place next to all the other stunningly designed characters. But the chat was buzzing with anticipation for my appearance. Here we go. The moment of truth. The organizers are savage for putting Starfall and Julian's posters next to each other. This is going to be brutal. After a brief warm-up, the host took the stage. "Welcome, everyone, to the finals of the Ethelgard's Dream Annual Duo Tournament. I know you're all excited, so without further ado, let's bring out our competitors." One by one, the competitors walked out onto the stage. In the game, you couldn't change your character's face, but you could customize their body type. As a result, many of the competitors looked quite different from their avatars, creating an awkward contrast as they stood next to their posters. LOL, who knew the number 1 ranked warrior, Swole Daddy, was actually like 300 pounds? And the tank with the massive health pool is so skinny in real life, I feel like a strong breeze could knock him over. Is it mean to say that some of these cosplays are bad enough to end up on a cringy cosplay compilation? The stream of mockery only subsided when the Frost Empress and Winter's Edge took the stage. Whoa, they look exactly like their avatars. And their figures are amazing. Winter's Edge has to be at least 5'9". She looks like she stepped right out of the game. The chat was buzzing, and then it was time for the main event. And now, let's welcome the game's number 1 heartthrob, the top-ranked support player, Julian. The spotlight hit the stage and Julian walked out. You could tell that even though his makeup had been hastily redone, he had been meticulous, not a single detail out of place. But the chat was still unimpressed. Meh, he doesn't look that great. The proposal stream must have had a filter. Without it, he looks even more average. And this is supposed to be the most handsome man in the game? He's just a streamer. He doesn't have a face for the big screen. The chat scrolled by in real time. Julian saw the comments, and though he was seething, he forced a smile. But he had a plan. He had paid someone to sabotage my entrance. This time, he was going to be the one to humiliate me. The host's voice boomed through the speakers. And now, for our final competitor, let's give a warm welcome to Starfall. Julian watched, a smug look on his face, as a figure emerged into the spotlight. The lights were blinding, and he couldn't see my face clearly, but he saw the live stream chat, which had been flying by, suddenly freeze for a second, and then explode with an intensity he had never seen before. Holy crap, he's so handsome. He's literally a god. Oh my god, I'm speechless. How does he look even better now than he did on that filtered livestream? This is just cruel. A truly handsome man doesn't need any help. And the costume has such a clever twist. He's incredible. Staring at the chat, which was the complete opposite of what he had expected, Julian's eyes widened in disbelief. How was this possible? He had paid someone to douse me in red paint. I should have been a mess, a laughingstock. Why were they reacting like this? It was only when I stepped fully into the light that he saw what had happened. The costume the organizers had given me was one half of a couple's set from the game, a pristine white suit. The suit made me look ethereal, almost otherworldly. And the red paint had indeed been thrown, but instead of ruining the look, it had created a stunning, accidental effect. The red splatters on the white suit looked like blood on fresh snow, or like crimson flowers blooming in a winter landscape. Even the paint on my face, against my features, looked like expertly applied stage makeup, creating a battle-damaged effect. The whole look came together perfectly. The red paint transformed the pristine white suit from something pure and angelic into something tragic and beautiful. The chat was losing its mind. OMG, this is a battle-damaged look. It's so creative. This is a fighting tournament. Everyone else is dressed like they're going to a ball. Starfall is the only one who looks like he's actually been in a fight. I know it's just makeup, but looking at his face, I still feel so bad for him. It reminds me of when the whole server was hunting him down. I feel so guilty. Julian was grinding his teeth so hard it was a wonder they didn't crack, but all he could do was watch. I walked to the front of the stage and smiled at the camera. Hello, everyone. I'm Starfall. My simple greeting sent the chat into another frenzy. OMG, he spoke to me. He smiled at me. I can die happy now. Who even cares if he's had plastic surgery? When you look like that, you can have my wallet, my car, my house, anything. Oh my god. Standing next to him makes Julian look so incredibly plain. It was true. For maximum drama, the organizers had placed our posters side by side, which meant we were now standing next to each other on stage. On the posters, Julian's perfectly sculpted Max Slider avatar was, of course, far more handsome than my deliberately ugly Min Slider one. But in real life, the situation was completely reversed. Overnight, Julian is a catfish became a trending topic. The introductions continued. After I was done, I walked back to my spot on the stage. It was a strange coincidence. The white suit I was wearing was originally part of a couple's set with the Frost Empress's white gown. But because of the red paint, my outfit now perfectly complemented Winter's Edge's striking red dress. The chat immediately started shipping us. They look so good together. The organizers are savage. I feel so bad for the Frost Empress right now. But look at the way Chloe is looking at him. So sad. Can I still ship them, even though it's over? After a brief overview of the tournament rules, the host announced, today's event is just for fun, but to get everyone excited for the main event, we're going to have a few friendly exhibition matches. We'll draw names to see who will face off. The results of the draw were surprising. I had assumed, for maximum drama, that the organizers would rig the draw to have me fight either Chloe or Julian. Instead, my opponent was the top-ranked tank on the server, Swole Daddy. The chat was immediately filled with concern. Oh no, Swole Daddy is no joke. He's a tank warrior with a massive health pool. Most people can't outdamage him or outlast him. He just wears them down. And you know his playstyle. It's all brute force. Ethan is in for a rough time. I mean, Ethan is gorgeous, but let's be real, his skills are probably lacking. He's a support class, and he was never a top-tier player to begin with. Swole Daddy looked me over and sneered. Hey, pretty boy. I know you're good-looking, but I don't go easy on anyone in a fight. If you don't want to lose too badly, maybe you should just forfeit now. I might even let you win a round if you beg nicely. His leering gaze was disgusting. My attempt at a friendly demeanor vanished. Cut the crap, I said coldly. My words made his face twist with rage. You little punk. You think you can get away with anything just because you're pretty? I don't care how you look. You've pissed me off now. I'm gonna wipe the floor with you. A flawless victory. A flawless victory meant winning a match without taking a single point of damage. It meant your opponent's efforts were completely useless. In the gaming world, It was the ultimate humiliation. I clenched my fists, but my voice was steady. Right back at you. If I'm going to beat you, it's going to be a flawless victory. My words sent a ripple of shock through the audience. Oh no, Starfall is going to get destroyed. He's handsome and his skills are decent, but he's a support class. He's at a natural disadvantage. Yeah, his damage output is low, and most of his skills are for healing. The best he can do is stall for time. The discussion was so heated that someone on the forums started a betting pool for the match. The bets came flooding in. 99% of them were for Swole Daddy. Who's the 1%? Does someone actually think Starfall has a chance? Now that's a true fan. I'm not about to throw my money away. That's a losing bet if I've ever seen one. As the discussion raged, the betting pool closed, and the final tally was displayed. In the column for me, there was only a single solitary bet. The chat exploded. Holy crap, of course. It's Winter's Edge. She's so rich she can just throw money away. If Starfall loses, she's going to have to pay out all those winnings herself. The director expertly cut to a shot of Sophia in the audience. She was sitting in the competitor's lounge, her long legs crossed, calmly looking at her phone as if nothing was happening. It was as if she didn't care about the outcome of the bet at all. She just wanted to support the person she cared about. As the chat filled with comments about how beautiful she was, the match began. 3, 2, 1, fight! The moment the match started, Swole Daddy, confident in his massive health pool and my low damage output, let out a roar and charged straight at me. He used his signature move, a devastating overhead smash with his giant mace that was nearly impossible to dodge. But as the mace came crashing down, I just smiled, and with a single fluid movement, I dodged and appeared behind him. The mace hit the ground with a deafening crash, missing me completely. Before the chat could even react, my white-suited figure, having dodged the blow, seemed to dance in the air, landing gracefully behind him and slashing his back with an obsidian dagger. The commentator's voice was hesitant. And there you have it, a beautiful dodge from Starfall, who managed to avoid the attack and land a counter of his own. A very impressive display of agility, but the damage is negligible against Swole Daddy's massive health pool. Let's see how this plays out. We moved apart. Feeling the sting of the cut on his back and seeing the blood on my dagger, Swole Daddy laughed. He spat on the ground. Not bad, pretty boy. But you think you can kill me with those little love taps? You'd have to hit me 1,000 times. I only need to hit you once. I remained calm, looking at him coldly. And what if, I said, enunciating each word, you can never touch me at all? The match dragged on. Half an hour passed, and it still wasn't over. The chat had fallen silent, with only a few scattered comments of awe. Even the commentators were speechless. Everyone was watching, completely mesmerized. It wasn't a match. It was a performance. A one-sided, elegant slaughter. My character moved like a deadly butterfly, dancing around the battlefield, each graceful pass leaving another bleeding cut on my opponent. My dagger was a legendary weapon with a unique effect. Though its base damage was low, it applied a stacking bleed effect. With his health slowly but surely draining away, and unable to land a single blow, Swole Daddy was starting to lose his composure. He roared in frustration, swinging his mace wildly, but he couldn't even touch the hem of my suit. The arena was no longer a battlefield. It was my stage, and my opponent was merely a prop in my performance. After what felt like an eternity, Swole Daddy's health bar finally hit 0. With a final, frustrated roar, he collapsed. I landed gracefully, brushed a speck of dust from my sleeve, and sheathed my dagger. I looked out at the stunned crowd and said, my voice quiet but clear, flawless victory. The crowd erupted, and the chat exploded. Holy crap, a flawless victory. He's insane. When did Starfall get so good at movement? Someone needs to do a breakdown video of his footwork. I need to learn that. Did he really just get a flawless victory against Swole Daddy? The number 1 tank on the entire server. The chat was a flurry of speculation and awe. On stage, Swole Daddy ripped off his headset. You little bastard, you have to be hacking. You think you can make a fool of me? He tried to charge at me, but was held back by security. The chat, too, started to fill with accusations. Yeah, is he hacking? Swole Daddy is the number 1 tank. There's no way he should have lost like that, let alone a flawless victory. Yeah, if it was the Frost Empress or Winter's Edge, I wouldn't question it. But when Starfall was getting ganked by the whole server, he didn't fight like this. I saw the accusations flooding the chat. I didn't say anything. When the host asked me for my thoughts on the match, I simply opened my character stat sheet for the camera. The moment my agility stat, maxed out at 99, appeared on the screen, the chat went completely silent. Most players had an agility stat between 60 and 70. Anything over 80 was considered god tier. A maxed out 99 was practically unheard of. Looking at the now silent chat, I allowed myself a small smile. I don't have much to say, I said into the microphone, except, get good. The crowd was silent for a beat, and then erupted in laughter. LOL, so savage. Not only did he beat him, he had to rub it in his face, so he must have sacrificed all his other stats for agility. His other numbers are really low. To build your character like that, you have to be incredibly confident in your ability to dodge. It finally dawned on Swole Daddy that he had just been publicly humiliated. You little punk, you're asking for a beating? He roared, trying to break free from the security guards and rush the stage, but they managed to restrain him and drag him away. The host quickly stepped in to regain control. We'll be taking a short break now, and we'll be back with our next exhibition match shortly. I gave a polite bow to the camera and went to sit in the waiting area. As I sat down, I heard a voice next to me say, "Show off." I looked over. It was Sophia. She wasn't looking at me. Her eyes were on her phone, but I could see the smile playing at the corners of her lips. "But it was a successful show," she said, holding up her phone to show me her winnings from the betting pool. "You can buy me a coffee with this." I was confused for a second, then I remembered the bet. Even though the individual bets were small, so many people had bet against me that Sophia's winnings were easily in the 5-figure range. I was a little surprised, but I just smiled. "All right, after the show, let's go get that coffee." My treat. Sophia seemed surprised by my offer, and she didn't say another word for the rest of the show. After the show, we went to a nearby coffee shop. Sophia stirred her coffee. "When did you learn to fight like that?" she asked. I had never shown that kind of skill when we were running dungeons together. When she had placed her bet, it had been a leap of faith. She hadn't expected me to actually win, let alone in such a spectacular fashion. It wasn't the first time she had been surprised by me, but she found herself thinking that I was much more interesting than she had initially given me credit for. "I had a feeling this tournament would be more than just a simple online competition," I explained. "So I developed a new fighting style, one that was all my own. As long as I don't have to fight you, I think I have a pretty good chance of winning." I smiled. Sophia seemed momentarily lost in thought, then she cleared her throat. "What happened with your costume today?" I sighed and told her the whole story of Julian's failed sabotage attempt. With every word I spoke, Sophia's expression grew darker and darker, until her face was a thundercloud. She couldn't believe that even now, Julian was still resorting to such petty, childish tricks. "I'll handle this," she said, her voice cold as steel. "I'll make him regret it." She started typing on her phone, but I stopped her. "Wait, let him compete." Sophia looked at me, confused. She could have him disqualified and his career ruined within the hour. Why would I want to wait? Seeing her confusion, I explained. I had a feeling that the final match of the tournament would be our team against theirs. I knew how these things worked. The only reason this tournament was such a big, live event was because of all the drama surrounding me. It was all for the views. Even if the organizers didn't rig the brackets, I knew Chloe. She wouldn't let her team lose before the finals. And I was just as confident in our own skills. A final showdown was inevitable, and I had my own selfish reason for wanting it to happen. I wanted to win, for real this time. A silence fell between us. Sophia looked at me for a long moment, then she looked down, a small, almost imperceptible smile on her lips. She suddenly remembered the first time she had seen me, hiding in the reeds, stubbornly refusing to give in. Back then, she had thought I was just being stubborn, a martyr for a lost cause. But now, she saw something else in me. Something resilient, something that shone, felt right. This was who I was supposed to be. Strong, resilient, unyielding. A wave of anger washed over Sophia. Anger that I had been so isolated, that so many had ganged up on me. And anger at herself for not stepping in sooner. If only she had been there to support me from the start. 1,000 thoughts swirled in her mind, but all she said was, "Okay, then let's win." That evening I went to the beach. Because of my anxiety about my appearance, I had always been a homebody. I had never really traveled. Growing up in the Midwest, I had never seen the ocean before. This was my first time. The night air was cool, carrying the salty tang of the ocean. The waves, the sand, and the sky were all painted in shades of deep, twilight blue. The rippling water distorted the moon's reflection into a shimmering, abstract pattern. I walked to the water's edge. The tide was coming in, and the cold water washed over my ankles. I looked up at the sky. It was a full moon, and it looked huge and bright over the water. The moonlight shimmered on the water, and a sense of peace washed over me. I took a deep breath and let it out in a long, slow exhale, as if releasing all the pent-up anxiety and frustration I had been carrying. I thought about my parents. When they were alive, they had always worried about me, that I was too withdrawn, that I would be taken advantage of. I remembered the story of my father's last moments. His last act was to hand his own lunchbox to a bystander, saying, "This is for my son. Don't let it get cold." But by the time I got that lunchbox at the funeral home, it was already cold. The rice was hard as pebbles, and my favorite sweet and sour pork was dry and tasteless. But I ate every last bite, right there in the funeral home, in front of my father's shrouded body. A coldness spread from my mouth to my stomach. My tears fell into the container, and the food tasted of salt and grief. It was the worst thing I had ever tasted, and also the best. I would never forget it. My father's words echoed in my mind. "Son, you have to learn to stand up for yourself. Don't let people walk all over you." He had always thought I was too soft, too easily pushed around. He had worried about me until the very end. But now, looking at the trending topics on my phone, at the flood of apologies in my social media comments, at the collaboration offers from major companies that were starting to roll in, it felt like the storm had finally passed. I took a deep breath and let it out slowly. I looked up at the dark blue sky and whispered, "Dad, you don't have to worry anymore. I've learned how to fight back." The sea and the sky offered no reply. I was about to leave when I heard a familiar voice behind me. Ethan. It was a voice I knew all too well. Chloe. For 3 years, I had longed to hear that voice. Just being with her, even just making small talk, had felt so meaningful. But now, hearing it, I felt no joy, only a weary sigh. I slowly turned. Chloe was standing there, holding out a canned cocktail. "I remember you said you wanted to see the ocean one day." I was taken aback. I had dreamed of it, back when I was completely in love with her. Meeting in person, taking our online relationship into the real world. Becoming a real couple. I must have mentioned wanting to go to the beach, hoping she would say, "Me too, let's go together." So I was surprised that she remembered, but she had only remembered half of the story. "Chloe, I told you I'm allergic to alcohol." Back when I was still working in an office, I had complained to her more than once about the forced after-work drinks, the harassment. "I'm allergic to alcohol, but they still try to make me drink." I must have told her that story a dozen times. Back then, she was the only person I had to talk to, but clearly, she didn't remember. Chloe froze, her hand hovering awkwardly in the air before she pulled it back. "Sorry, I forgot." She changed the subject. "I never would have guessed you'd get so good. A flawless victory against the server's top warrior." I didn't respond to the compliment. "What do you want, Chloe?" I asked coldly. Her voice trembled slightly. "Are you really so eager to get rid of me? What else did you expect?" I shot back. "I thought we were on the same page. The day you put that bounty on my head, you became my enemy." The game's pain simulation was set to 20%, a deterrent to casual violence. But 20% multiplied by hundreds of players, each one getting a hit in, it was like being slowly, methodically tortured to death. The Starfall who had been in love with the Frost Empress died that day, in that storm of hate and ridicule. He had died, over and over again, until there was nothing left of that love but ashes. A heavy silence fell between us, filled only by the sound of the wind and the waves. After a long moment, Chloe sighed and looked up at the full moon. "Do you know why I asked you to be my in-game partner 3 years ago?" I didn't answer. She continued, as if talking to herself. "On your old account, besides that one photo, the rest of your posts were like a diary. I read every single one of them over and over. Then, when I saw you in the game getting chased around by a few low-level monsters, I was reminded of him. Later, I thought Julian was him. He had the same name and his avatar looked a little like the photo. And now, just when I thought I was finally going to be with him, you tell me it was you all along." She had waited 6 years, loved him with all her heart for 6 years, all because of that one photograph. And now, to find out that she had been the one to push him away, how could she not be filled with regret? How could she ever accept it? "Ethan," she said, taking a deep breath, "can we please start over?" I just looked at her. This was a scene I had dreamed of for years, but now that it was happening, I felt nothing. "No, why?" Her heart plummeted, and she clenched her fists. I looked at her, my expression as calm and flat as the sea on a windless day. "Because I don't love you anymore. Chloe, don't make me hate you." My words struck her like a bolt of lightning, leaving behind a heavy, oppressive silence. The sky was clear, but the air felt thick and heavy, making it hard to breathe. Chloe stood there, stunned, looking as lost and helpless as a small child. It was so quiet she could almost hear the sound of her own heart breaking, piece by piece, until there was nothing left but an empty space in her chest. After a long moment, she gave a bitter, forced laugh. This is so cruel. To you and to me. We were so close. One conversation, one explanation away from a happy ending. And we missed it. Maybe, I said, my voice flat. I didn't feel regret, just a weary sense of what might have been. It was only then that I truly understood. Love really can just disappear. The love that had sustained me through so many lonely nights had simply slipped through my fingers, leaving no trace behind. We didn't speak again. After a moment, I turned to leave. I'm going back. Wait, Chloe called after me, her voice hesitant. Can we still be friends? I know you didn't scam anyone. I know you're not that kind of person. Can we go back to how things were? Even if we can't be together, let me make it up to you. Let me protect you. She said it so carefully, almost begging. For someone who had spent her whole life being adored, it was the most humble I had ever seen her. But I just listened, and then gave a cold, sarcastic laugh. You see? You knew all along. She knew I was innocent. She knew I was being wronged. But she didn't defend me. She stood by and watched, and by doing so, she sided with my tormentor. I walked away, leaving her and the beach I had so longed to see behind me. The next day, when I arrived at the venue, I saw Sophia. She had huge dark circles under her eyes. Didn't get much sleep? I asked. She just grunted in response and didn't say anything else. I didn't press the issue. I glanced over at Chloe. She seemed to have retreated back into her icy shell, sitting perfectly still, as remote and untouchable as a mountain flower. But Julian was nowhere in sight. The host took the microphone. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your patience. Before we begin today's matches, we have an unfortunate announcement to make. Due to personal health reasons, Julian will be withdrawing from the tournament. His partner, the Frost Empress, has decided to continue on in the competition alone. The announcement sent a wave of shock through the audience. The chat immediately started flying. No way, he just quit. He must have known he couldn't win, so he ran away. I'd have left too. Imagine having to compete against a guy that handsome while still calling yourself the #1 heartthrob. The embarrassment would be too much. But you have to admit, the Frost Empress is amazing. Competing alone, she might actually pull it off. She could probably beat most of the teams here by herself. The chat was a flurry of speculation. I turned to Sophia and raised an eyebrow, mouthing the words, "Did you do this?" She shook her head, a look of genuine confusion on her face. She had been planning to do something, but it seemed someone had beaten her to the punch. Before we could figure it out, the host was already moving on. And now for the semifinals. We will now draw to determine the matchups for our final 4 teams. Before she could finish, Chloe stood up. Can we skip the draw? She asked, her eyes fixed on me. I have someone I want to fight. Her words sent the entire arena into an uproar. Holy crap, did I just hear that right? Is Chloe challenging him directly? Obviously. She was staring right at Winter's Edge and Starfall when she said it. It couldn't be more obvious. But this is only the semifinals. If they have their big showdown now, I'm not even going to bother watching the finals. The organizers clearly had the same thought. The host looked hesitant. Chloe, are you sure? The rules state that the matchups are determined by a random draw. Yesterday's stream had already generated more revenue than they had projected for the entire event, and they clearly didn't want to waste the opportunity for even more drama. But Chloe's response was firm. My partner has already withdrawn. If the rules can't be bent, then I'll withdraw as well. That settled it. The organizers weren't about to lose their star player. A dramatic semifinal was better than no drama at all. The host smiled. And who is it that you're so eager to face in battle? To no one's surprise, she pointed directly at Sophia and me. The chat exploded. Holy crap, it's happening. The showdown of the century. They say 2 kings can't occupy the same mountain, and now the 2 queens of the server are going to face off. LOL, I'm not even getting up to pee. Place your bets, people. Who's going to win? The chat was going wild. I whispered something to Sophia, and then I stood up. She's alone, I announced. It wouldn't be a fair fight. I'll fight you, one-on-one. My words sent the chat into another frenzy. What is Starfall doing? He's way too overconfident. This is the Frost Empress, not Swole Daddy. If Winter's Edge had said that, I'd be cheering. But Starfall? He's biting off more than he can chew. But despite their doubts, all they could do was watch as I walked onto the stage alone. The starting bell rang, but neither of us moved. Chloe looked at me, her expression complicated. "Time flies," she said, her voice filled with a strange nostalgia. "It feels like just yesterday I was teaching you how to PvP. I never thought that in just 3 years, you'd go from being by my side to being my opponent." She looked at me, and I seemed both familiar and like a complete stranger. Maybe she was realizing she had never really known me at all. I stared back at her, sheathing my dagger and drawing a long sword. It was the weapon style she herself had taught me. "If that was supposed to be trash talk, it was pretty weak," I said, and then I charged. "This time, I'm going to win." I was fast, closing the distance between us in an instant. She blocked my attack and then, with lightning speed, launched a counter-thrust. It was her signature move, a lightning-fast, unblockable counter that exploited the opening created by an opponent's attack. It was almost always a one-hit kill, but this time her blade was met by mine. The sound of steel on steel rang through the arena, sparks flying from the impact. Chloe was stunned. How is that possible? A few top-tier players could dodge that move, but no one had ever been able to block it. How had I done it? As the crowd stared in stunned silence, I landed gracefully and gave my sword a flourish. "Have you forgotten, Chloe? I spent 3 years by your side. No one knows your moves better than I do." With that, I charged again. But this time, she didn't block. My sword plunged straight into her chest. I froze and looked up into her eyes. They were filled with a strange, sad smile of acceptance. "I surrender," she said, her voice clear and steady. "Starfall, you win." The match was over, ending in her surrender, but no one in the chat was accusing her of throwing the fight. Holy crap, I just rewatched that in slow motion. He really did block that attack. It was a split-second parry. As a top 10 assassin on this server, I can confirm, I fought her last year, and she one-shot me with that same move. I still don't know how to counter it. Starfall is legit. See? I told you I was smart. I bet on Starfall this time. Now I'm just waiting for my payout. I watched the victory animation play on the screen, still in a bit of a daze. I hadn't been sure I could win. I had just been determined to try. I couldn't believe I had actually blocked that attack. I looked down at my hands. They were trembling. I looked up. Sophia was standing in front of me. "You won," she said calmly, her words pulling me back to the present. I was about to say something, but then Chloe was there, holding out her hand. "Congratulations," she said with a small, self-deprecating smile. "I guess I really can't beat you anymore." This time, I took her hand. We shook hands. It was just a handshake. Congratulations. Nothing more. As expected, Sophia and I went on to win the rest of the tournament. When the final MVP scores were tallied, I had even edged out Sophia by a fraction of a point. She sighed dramatically. "I guess I'm better off as a solo player after all," she joked. I just smiled. After the tournament, my social media accounts blew up, gaining hundreds of thousands of new followers overnight. Whenever I posted a picture, the comments were flooded with praise. "So handsome. Where did you get that shirt?" The compliments were genuine, free of the leering, objectifying tone I had grown so used to. I was starting to realize that the world wasn't the hostile, judgmental place I had always imagined it to be. Or maybe, these fans, with their kindness and support, had given me an umbrella to shield me from the rain. An umbrella called confidence. So when I received the Orb of Transformation as my prize, I decided it was time to change my character's face. Sophia agreed. "You should make it look like you. Then we'll look good together in our matching outfits." The very night the tournament ended, Sophia set off a massive firework display in the game's capital city, with a server-wide announcement declaring her love for me. I laughed and teased her. "What, you don't like my ugly face anymore?" "I do," she answered without hesitation. "But with your real face, it will feel like we're really there together. I want to explore that world with you, the real you. Can't we do that? Besides, even if it's not for me, do you really want to keep that ugly face? Now that you've been voted the server's most handsome man?" After Julian withdrew from the tournament, he was arrested for harassment and defamation. The officer handling his case was Captain Chun. "Your father was a hero," she told me. "I heard his story when I first transferred to this precinct. I have the utmost respect for him. We look after our own. If you ever need anything, you call me." Hearing her words, Sophia, who had been tense and silent since we arrived at the station, finally seemed to relax. I smiled. "Thank you, Captain." After the truth came out, Julian was permanently banned from the game, and in a server-wide poll, I was voted the new most handsome man. But the calls for me to actually change my character's face to match my real one were loud and persistent. Today, with the Orb of Transformation in my inventory, I finally entered the character creation screen. On the giant screen in front of me, my own face appeared. A system prompt appeared, current appearance value, 0%. My hand hovered over the confirm button. Then, with a mischievous grin, I slid the beauty slider all the way to 100%. The system returned an error message. Model generation failed. Please try again. I tried again at 90%. Model generation failed. 70%. Model generation failed. 20%. Failed. 0%. Appearance modification successful. Welcome, hero, to the world of Ethelgard's dream.